Welcome back. This is day 2 of round 1 of the St George Motorcycle Club Sprint Series. This is race 4 for Formula St George. Straight back into it, second place start, got a good launch. It had been raining earlier this morning, so we've actually been on track already by this point in the Club Sport 600 class. We were riding around on a damp track on slicks, which was interesting to say the least. We might have some footage of that going up at some point soon. I got a good launch here. Now I've got a fresher front tyre in. We broke that in on the wet race, so it's much better front end feeling so far this morning on the bike. Still got a used rear, again making some chassis adjustments to try to make myself comfortable on the bike after having some issues yesterday on day 1. So again, we got Levi, Russo and Josh Newman being the main competition that we have throughout this race. Again, we were supposed to have 3 races on Sunday. We got through Sunday's first race on Saturday afternoon, so we've only got 2 Formula St George events from day 2. You can see already I'm a bit more confident, a bit more comfortable running my normal lines. Again, however, I know that these 2 young fellas are right behind me, so I'm actually pushing pretty hard by this point. Thankfully, the adjustments mean I make less errors. That being said, I'm still not perfect. I do make a few errors throughout this race and the next race, which, you know, with those 2 blokes being right up my clacker, you know, they punished pretty heavily anytime I made a mistake. You heard there I was into the limiter, changing back to 5th. I had a really good run off the last turn, so the gearing was kind of right. And you see here going into turn 2, I pull a tight line, hoping to block braking manoeuvre, and the cheeky bugger that is Levi goes around the outside of me on the entry to the corner. So I was taken aback by that a little bit and laughing in my helmet, thinking, again, cheeky little so-and-so, and just had a laugh. And I know at this point he's probably just going to pull away from me, but again, try my hardest to make sure I try to keep up with him. I'm having issues on exit of T6 here. I think with the different engine and the different corner speeds that I'm carrying around the track, I think the gearing's gone a bit off compared to what I would normally run. So holding 3rd through there is just not resulting in good drive off the corner. Here through turn 9, you see I'm able to hold a much more normal line as opposed to yesterday. And then looking up track, you could see Levi having a look back, which actually you could visibly see slowed his time down. Again, good drive onto the straight. Levi swooping across. I can only imagine that's because he thinks that I'm going to be trying to slipstream him. Sometimes that can work if the person's right up your backside. A lot of the times all it's doing is actually slowing you down. We're not on 240 horsepower superbikes that you need to swerve across track like that to try to hold the front down. So best course of action is actually just to exit and go straight. Tom Taparis, when he did a 37 on a Trofeo, never swooped across the track like that. So that's the line that I hold now. And that's pretty much how that race ran. Levi absolutely smashed it away into the distance. We had a pretty good one, felt pretty good on the bike. So we'll skip straight into race 5. So it's the final Formula St George race of the weekend. I get a decent launch. Josh gets a better launch than me and then comes swerving across the track like that. Not ideal, if I'm perfectly honest. I nearly tagged the back of him, which would have resulted in a nasty incident. But, you know, that's racing. Everyone's got to make sure that they keep their eyes open, especially at the start of the race. I know it's going to get pretty sporting in this one, so I'm pushing pretty hard, pretty early. I'm also, again, not to harp on, but very fatigued at this point. I've done 2 Club Sport 600 races and a Formula St George race. I'm already knackered from yesterday. And you can see that I start to fatigue in this a bit while I'm pushing to try to stay in front of Levi and Josh again. They pushed me almost to breaking point, these two blokes, I'm not going to lie. They certainly made me work for it. Thankfully, other than kind of a couple of, I think it's 3 races in the morning affected by a bit of a damp track from overnight rain and a bit of light showering in the morning, the forecast doom and gloom for the day didn't appear. We had lovely blue sunshine for most of the day like this, so that was really awesome. Thankfully not having to ride the wet bike. See there, compared to yesterday, the adjustments that we've made for today and having a fresher front tyre on meant that I could hold line a little bit better through that final section, meaning I got a nice clean run down the main straight. However, I could just hear Levi in the background behind me, so I know he's there somewhere. And again, I hold that mid-track line, trying to stop anyone from outbraking me, and Levi says, to heck with that, and sends it up my inside this time. So, well played, dude. And that's it. Once he's in front of me, as in every other race, he's just got that little bit more in his pocket that he can pull a gap on me. I try as hard as I can to keep up with him. Alas, not to be. Especially in this race, once battle ensues with Josh. You can see there I'm actually able to hold lines quite similar to Levi as opposed to yesterday, other than, you know, exiting turn 6 there having an issue. And then pushing hard, I run a bit wide into turn 9. And like I said before, these guys are willing to punish any mistake I make, and Josh punishes it with a beautiful move on the inside of me, very tight into turn 9. I'm able to just get a bit of a run on him, but not enough to be able to pass him in the flip-flop. It would seem that he's learnt a little bit from yesterday, and he was carrying so much more corner speed into 10 and 11, which was awesome to see, frustrating, but awesome to see, because he's adapted to what he was seeing yesterday, so well done to Josh there. That being said, that manoeuvre meant that Levi was able to make a bit of a break away from us. You could see he's probably tripled the gap. And now it's when it gets quite heated between Josh and I. And I can tell you, this whole time, I was having such a laugh, having so much fun. You can hear there playing around with some gearing choices, different to yesterday. Just trying to eke a little bit of speed out, hold my corner speed, and yet, bang, Josh makes another place to try to pass me. I thought about trying to outbrake him there and decided, nah, not worth the attempt or the potential crash. And you can see on exit, Josh has a big bobble as he gets into the gas real hard, real early. He's just got that confidence to run mid-corner speed far superior to mine. Coming off here, I got a pretty good entry in the exit. I bobbled a little bit, unsure why. Josh goes quite wide there, way over the concrete, trying to eke out as much corner speed as possible. And I actually hit the rev limiter a little bit there. I normally change into a higher gear, but for whatever reason, whether I wasn't paying attention enough or not, or just laughing in my helmet from seeing how wide Josh went, I clipped the top of 4th. You see there Josh moving out mid-track, hoping to hold me at bay. Again, I got a little bit more top speed, don't need the draft so much as maybe the other 400s do. I'm able to just clip around the outside of him. Again, haven't learned my lesson from trying to defend from Levi, but Josh has learnt the lesson from watching Levi, can see that, boom, I leave a bit of a gap, and he just absolutely opens the door, comes zinging down the inside of me. You can see just how much that bike is moving. It is pumping around like crazy as he's just whacking the gas open to try to keep in front. And like, power to him, he's trying real hard. I'll have to actually check the numbers, but I believe he broke the 300 lap record compared to the ASBK event in these races against us, so that's pretty impressive. And he was running some pretty good lines and good times that, you know, I'm trying my best to keep up with him, and I'm making little mistakes. So once again, can't speak highly enough of how far Josh has come along in his riding. Again, you can see a big bobble for Newman there off exit, sending him out wide over the concrete. Just keeps it flat though, which is pretty impressive. I got a decent run myself here through the last section. Pretty big distance away from him, so I thought, oh, I'll just try to get in his slipstream, follow him through turn one. Once I was in his slipstream, however, I got a big dose of speed and decided, nah, just going to send it through turn one on a pretty tight line, which actually felt really comfortable, surprisingly enough. Learned my lesson. Stuck out wide there on my normal traditional line, breaking across the track rather than trying to hold a defensive line. Thinking about the track, not my competition, usually helps. And downshift, tip into four, and biggest fright of my track life in a while, Josh sent a real haymaker down the inside of turn four there. Nice and neat, like wasn't a nasty move by any stretch, but it's been a very long time since someone's dive bombed me there, so certainly took me by surprise. But like I said, nice clean move. And then he's absolutely on it. He is using every bit of track, sometimes a little bit more, in order to just get as much speed out of himself and the bike as possible. You see he had a much nicer, neater, tidier line there off exit. Bike still bobbled a little bit. And then me again, watching what he's doing rather than thinking about what I'm doing, hit the limiter again there, which kind of causes a few issues for me. You can see here I'm much closer to the back of Josh at this point. I want to make the move down the straight a lot earlier. And you can see, however, there, rather than swooping across track, he stayed to the right, which meant he was actually carrying a lot more speed earlier on the straight rather than when he was swooping across. See there, trying a little bit too hard into two, ran just a touch wide. I was half expecting, I actually looked over my shoulder because I was expecting to see Josh come nailing up the inside of me. But I must have been just far enough in front that he didn't see that as a viable manoeuvre. After his dive bomb into four, I was pushing hard down there into four, and it was not quite on line, and he was able to force a nice little move on the inside of me through five. You can see there, a nice smooth exit from six for the pair of us, running over the hill around corporate. Almost looks like Josh is starting to get a bit of a slide on. Here we are, just catching a back mark. I think that was Jack, who might have had a puncture at that point, I believe, or having some kind of mechanical. Again, Josh just carrying so much more corner speed into that final section that I'm not able to do my normal manoeuvre, which is, that's the highest commendation I can really give to Josh. There's been few people that have been able to really carry more corner speed than me into there, especially in this class. So it's really cool to see his improvement. You can see there on exit at 12 with the same corner exit speed, and I'm able to carry way more top speed down the straight. But Josh is making it up in other parts of the track, absolutely chopping me to pieces. much better run through turn 2 here after that. Back into 3, back onto more of the traditional line that I should be running, giving me a bit more speed everywhere. Same into 3, down into 4. And yet, Josh is still able to chuck that move on me into 5. However, he lost a little bit of drive there. He kind of just bobbled mid-corner. I'm able to outdrive him over 5, down into 6. You can see my bike's starting to walk around there. I'm on a 2-day-old rear tyre at this point. Josh is still just absolutely sending it on me. I had a bit of a wriggle around corporate, and he punished it by absolutely chopping me down into 9. And I thought, nah, you cheeky little, I'm going to get you. Had a bit more top speed on the back straight, and was able to catch my old school flip-flop manoeuvre onto him. I had the biggest smile on my face going down the straight here because I was absolutely adoring this battle. Like, it was so much fun. I thought I had my ears pinned back. I thought I really got to try to beat him because, you know, he's going to throw everything he's got at me on this last lap. So pushing quite hard into turn 1, same thing into 2. It's carrying a bit more speed into 2 there than I expected. You can actually, as I change down through the gear, you can hear the slipper clutch really having to work hard with the extra speed and the extra revs that brings. I was anticipating a move from Josh there into 5. It didn't come. I thought, oh, might have a chance at keeping in front of him for the rest of the lap here. Just trying to ride a nice tidy line. Off exit 6 here, I heard him, and I knew there was a move coming. I just didn't know where. Again, pushing as hard as I can. You can see there a bit of a moment on the throttle. It wriggles around on me a bit. Same thing, bit of a front tuck there. Just a bobble on the front with how hard we're pushing. I don't know how close Josh was, but he didn't attack me there. And trying very hard. I think probably the fastest I've gone through 10 and 11 there, and then into 12, and I just run tiniest bit wide, peeling it back on, and then all of a sudden here comes Josh. He saw the gap. Last lap, coming to the checkered line, coming to the checkered flag, and he thought, I'm going to take it. And I felt so bad just powering him down the straight. Actually, when I was passing him, I had my hand off the bar, giving him a big thumbs up and a wave at him because, you know, that was a clean, fast move that he took on me there, and it was, you know, he was full send. And I can't help but think that he was a little bit disappointed. He looked a bit disappointed. Great sportsman though, he was giving me the thumbs up and whatever as well. But I'm sure he desperately wanted that P2 and to beat us over the line. And he very well nearly had it after I made a little bit of a mistake. And that mistake that I made is directly contributed to him because I was pushing so hard to try to stay in front of him. All in all, an absolutely awesome race. I had a really good time. Hope you enjoyed this racing, these videos, this content. If you did, please leave a comment and do the old like and subscribe. Share the videos if you're feeling generous. And we'll see you in the next one.